Good morning, everyone. I am Meteorologist and Storm Tracker James Longwith with Dynamic Weather Agency LLC, and today we are going to continue to talk about that major winter storm that's going to be bringing some heavy snowfall to parts of the southern plains and the lower Mississippi Valley. This is going to bring some hazardous travel conditions, some reduced visibility, and of course accumulating snowfall with areas seeing up to 8 inches of snow. More about that later on in the video. But first, before we can start with today's video, I do want to encourage you guys to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel and share this video with your friends and family. Also, be sure to check us out on social media where you can send us some of your weather related photos and videos that we'd like to share in our upcoming videos. The link to these pages are going to be down below in the description. Also, be sure to visit us online at dynamicweatheragency.com for more weather related info. Again, link down below in the description. And last but not least, check out our Patreon page to help support our channel so we could continue to make weather related content like this or storm chasing videos like you can see down below, and help fund our researching efforts here at Dynamic Weather Agency LLC. We have many different tiers ranging from $1 to $20 with many perks and exclusive content to our Patreon subscribers. Again, link is down below in the description for you guys to check that out. You can also inquire more info about becoming a channel or page sponsor by emailing us at dynamicweather@outlook.com. Now, as we take a look at our current national radar, we do see conditions are quite quiet across the United States this morning. We do see some light snow showers occurring across parts of Colorado, extreme northeastern New Mexico, and then even into parts of the plains and northern plains, into parts of South Dakota, and even to parts of Nebraska. But other than that, conditions are quite quiet this morning across the United States. So as we take a look at our regional forecast for the next 72 hours, you see we got that major winter storm that we're expecting to impact parts of the southern plains into parts of the lower Mississippi Valley. We're also expecting rain conditions across parts of southern Texas, stretching its way into the southeast Tennessee Valley, reaching into the mid-Atlantic with a system. And then we're going to continue to see those rain and wet conditions across parts of the West Coast, Washington and Oregon, some of that mountain snow and some of those higher elevations. So as we continue, we're going to take a look at our National Weather Service's current watches, warnings, and advisories. And as we take a look again at that southern plains region into the lower Mississippi Valley, you can see this nice swath of winter weather advisories, watches, and warnings in effect, stretching all the way from Colorado down into New Mexico, western Oklahoma, through Texas, and even to parts of northwestern Louisiana. We still see some lingering winter weather advisories in parts of the Appalachian Mountain region, where we saw low temperatures that could have produced some slippery road conditions along with some of that snowfall yesterday. Winter storm watches in effect across parts of Texas, stretching all the way up to western Louisiana. We do see some of those winter storm warnings already in effect in parts of New Mexico, with some winter weather advisories around that. Now, as we continue, we're going to take a look at our day one potential winter storm impacts. We continue to see minor to moderate impacts. Those minor impacts rarely have direct threat to life and property and typically result in an inconvenience to daily life to those who are not prepared, while those places in the orange under the moderate impacts, you often will see some threats to life and property with some damage unavoidable. This typically results in some disruptions to daily life to those with little preparation before this major winter storm. Typically, this will take a day or two of recovery time for snow or ice accumulation to subside. With those, as we mentioned, those yellows, those minor impacts are more advisory level stuff, while those oranges are more NWS warning level criteria, as we saw on those National Weather Service's current watches, warnings, and advisories. And then as we move into our day two potential winter storm impacts, we see those impacts starting to increase, becoming more moderate to major impacts across parts of the southern plains. Starting to see some of those impacts stretch its way into the lower Mississippi Valley. With those major impacts, these are significant impacts even with preparation. This could cause several days of recovery time for snow and ice accumulation to subside. Extensive property damage could be likely, and life-saving factors possibly needed will likely result in major disruptions to your daily life if you're unprepared for this event. And then as we move into our day 3 potential winter storm impacts, we see those impacts stretching further into the lower Mississippi Valley with moderate impacts across parts of Louisiana and minor impacts stretching into parts of Arkansas, Mississippi, and even to parts of southwestern Tennessee. Again, seeing some of those, disruptions to daily life for those with little preparation. And again, some moderate impacts to life and property, and this could be typically a day or two of recovery time for some snow to subside in these areas, especially these areas that don't typically see, heavy snowfall without the equipment to treat roads and stuff like that. So taking a look at our 300 millibar chart, and this is looking at our jet stream, and we can see this nice sharp amplitude ridge off the western CONUS of the United States. But just downstream of that, we have this nice deep upper level trough. And we have this nice jet max moving in this upper level trough, moving into the base of this trough. And this jet max is going to continue to deepen this upper level trough across the region. And with this jet stream and this nice big dip, it's also bringing a nice push of cold air to the region. But as we take a closer look at this jet max, and we take a look at the the left exit region, we see this nice area of favorable forcing and divergence aloft. And this coupled with, as we take a look down just a little bit further towards the surface, as we look at our surface dew points and our moisture, we see these nice easterly winds or southerly winds or easterly winds across, Texas, is evacuating some of this moist air across the region. And this is going to support the development of that precipitation along Colorado, New Mexico, and the Rockies and eastward, and even into the Panhandle region today. And as we look higher up into the atmosphere, we see strong, deep easterly flow that is, focused across parts of eastern New Mexico through the evening into the overnight hours. And this will likely help support some heavy snowfall along the foothills and the mountain regions of this area. I mean, we can even see that across our 850 millibore relative humidities. I mean, you just see that moisture and that moisture transport going across. But as you take a look at our 850 millibar winds, those winds are just picking up as we move into the evening and overnight hours. That's going to transport some of that moisture. And with this system and the jet stream, I mean, this system is going to continue to track its way to the east. I mean, we saw that with our WSSI index, and we'll continue to see that as we take a look at our Futurecast radar here in a minute. Now, taking a look at our upper level, looking at our 300 millibar chart, we do see this nice sharp amplitude ridge across parts of the western CONUS. But then as we take a look across CONUS, you see this nice deep dig in our jet stream, this deep upper level trough is moving on in to the Four Corners region. And this upper level trough is bringing this nice push of cold air. And from there, the system is expected to swing its way to the east, as we saw with our WSSI impacts of how the system is going to eventually start tracking. We'll take a look at that a little bit farther when we look at our Futurecast radar. But as the system moves into the southern Rockies tonight and even into early Sunday, we'll see some favorable forcing along this left exit region of this jet max that we have moving through the region. And this is our jet max right here. And taking a look at our left exit region, we'll have some nice divergence aloft that's going to provide some extra forcing. Taking a look at our Futurecast radar, we can see we have some of those snow conditions that are occurring over parts of Colorado and New Mexico by 1 p.m. today. We're going to see that coverage begin to increase as we move into the evening hours, and then as we move into the overnight and into the morning hours of your morning commute on Sunday. Some people move and go out to church. You can see we have some of that snowfall still occurring in parts of eastern New Mexico, southern Colorado, the panhandle of Oklahoma, even parts of western and central Texas. That is going to continue to increase in coverage over Texas as we move through the afternoon into the evening on Sunday, with the system beginning to push out by late Sunday, even into Monday morning. You will start to see the system leave parts of Texas and move its way into that lower Mississippi Valley, as you see by the morning commute on Monday. You can see some of that snowfall occurring in parts of Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi. But then the system is going to continue to move its way off to the north and to the east into the Tennessee Valley region and up into the Ohio Valley as we move through Monday, even into Tuesday. But we're not expecting to see much snow accumulation at this time with this event as it moves up towards that region. So we expect the system to modify a little bit, mostly with some rain, with some light snow showers across the region. And as we take a look at our weather models, as we take a look at the European model, surprisingly is kind of, not suggesting some of those heavy snowfall totals up in those, higher elevation regions in New Mexico and stuff like that. But we do see that nice swath of heavy snowfall suggesting across parts of, western and central Texas. We do see some of that, mountain snow continuing across parts of the Northwest. So take a look at the GFS model, seeing similar conditions, a little bit more refined. See less snowfall further to the north and west in parts of Colorado and New Mexico and even to parts of western Oklahoma. But as we take a look at our NAM model, suggesting a lot higher snowfall totals across parts of Texas. See some of those heavier snowfall totals a little bit into New Mexico. But definitely we're seeing some discrepancies along these models. Again, as we look at the National Weather Service's blend of models, seeing some of that mountain snow up in the northwest, but again, we're seeing some discrepancies here along, the southern central plains and then into parts of the lower Mississippi Valley region. This is the National Weather Service's gridded forecast, the NDFD model for the next 72 hours. This model is suggesting some of those higher snowfall totals and some of those higher elevations in Colorado into New Mexico. Again, we're seeing that nice swath of heavy snow expected across parts of Texas, which we're expecting that too. Here's one of our in-house models right here. Because again, we're seeing some of those isolated heavy snowfall totals, Colorado, New Mexico, nice swath of 5 to 8 inches of snow stretching into parts of Texas. And taking a closer look at the Texas and New Mexico region, again, places like Las Vegas, Lubbock, Snyder, La Mesa, Abilene, Hobbs, Brownwood, all y'all are within that 5 to 8 inches of snowfall where you can see some of that higher snowfall totals. And just, even west of Lubbock and to the south, you can see even some of those higher snowfall totals with possibly some isolated areas over 8 inches of snow. If you're in the Midlands, San Angelo, Amarillo, Roswell, New Mexico, you're in that 3 to 5 inches of snow, while places like Waco, Childress, and Albuquerque, New Mexico, you're all within that 1 to 3 inches of snowfall. And if I did not mention you on this map or did not plot your guys' snowfall totals, again, up in that top right corner of the graphic in the header is the legend right here for the snowfall totals. Now taking a look at our hand-drawn snowfall analysis map, again, we're expecting to see those 5 to 8 inches of snow in parts of Texas, some of those 5 to 8 inches of snow in parts of Colorado and New Mexico, those higher elevations, that nice swath of 3 to 5 stretching from Colorado through Texas, and that 1 to 3 stretching all the way from Colorado all the way into parts of Louisiana, where as we get further to the east, into parts of eastern Texas and Louisiana, especially Louisiana, expect to see those lower halves of 1 to 2, mostly 1 inches of snow as the system modifies as it moves its way to the east. And the next thing we have to talk about the next upcoming polar vortex. And I want to say this is a possible polar vortex because while the models right now are suggesting this, we are seeing some differences in the model runs today. As yesterday they were, more showing that yes, we could see this extreme push of cold air. The models have pushed back some of the temperature anomalies today across parts of this region, with possibly a cold pocket developing further to the south in the Tennessee and Ohio Valley region. So there's still just so much uncertainty because this is a late January event. And what do I mean by that? We're talking about 2 weeks out, guys. This event isn't expected to forecast to happen or impact us until the 22nd to 24th of January, somewhere within that time frame. And it could be even a little bit further to the left or to the right because it's just so far out. We don't know if these systems are going to speed up or slow down. And the only thing I could do is I could highlight this is a potential area where you can see some cold air. But is this really going to happen? It's just so far out, guys. But I have to talk about it because other people are talking about it on the internet and stuff like that. And like I said in yesterday's video, I mean, we talked about there are some signs for disruptions in our polar vortex. And models are continuing to suggest some form of stratospheric warming to occur on the 16th and 18th. As we take a look at today to about the 16th, you can see we have relatively warm conditions over the United States, continuing to be kind of neutral. But then as we get into about the 16th, and then as we take a look at over Russia, look at this. Look at this nice stratospheric warming that we have over the region. And then as we take a look at some of this polar vortex, the polar vortex gets displaced. It starts spilling its way into the United States. And what that stratospheric warming does is it weakens the winds over that area, allowing some of that, although that area is warming, it's still quite cool, but it's going to sink. And as it sinks, it's going to continue to warm some more. And this is going to displace that polar vortex that we see moving over the United States. And now there's a lot of uncertainties with this. How strong is that stratospheric warming going to be? Is the model over exaggerating it? Is it underdoing it? Where and will this cold air spill in? How much of this cold air will we get? And how long will this occur? Now, the next thing we're going to take a look at some of our teleconnections, and we're going to look at our Arctic oscillation. Now, the polar vortex is often considered to be a stratospheric phenomenon, but our Arctic Oscillation Index measures the surface expression of the polar vortex. And as we look at this teleconnection, looking at our Arctic oscillation, back in November, as we take a look at this, we saw some positive AO values. And then once we hit December, this became, relatively negative with this little bit of a spike in mid-December. But then again, as we look, now in January, we started off rather negative, but we see it's forecasted, this red area is the forecast of the Arctic oscillation. And it's forecasted to increase. But by the time we get to a couple days before the 16th, we see that nice dip. And this is correlated to that stratospheric warming. Again, this is showing that weakening of that polar vortex and the weakening of the upper level winds over the area, which is going to allow for that polar vortex to be displaced. And taking a look really far out, we're looking at 342 hours out, January 23rd. You can see some of that Arctic air with these 2-meter temperature anomalies possibly making its way into parts of the northern plains and the Midwest. Again, this event is really far out, and we'll have to continue to monitor this as we get closer and continue to see more model trends, as it's still on the tail end of many of our long-range models and not even, in the range for some of our more high-resolution, short-range models yet. And for severe weather, we're not expecting any severe weather, at least over the next 5 days. We're seeing rather weak instability and cool temperatures and a lack of moisture that will limit convection for much of the United States. Again, I would like to thank you guys for watching today's video, and be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel down below, and share this video with your friends and family. If you haven't already, be sure to check us out on social media and on our website. Links are down below in the description. And I'm meteorologist James Longwith with Dynamic Weather Agency, signing off. Y'all have a great day.